Hello everyone, and my name is Biscuits and or Mighty Space Fruit, depending on the flavor of the month. I'm taking a look here at a quarterfinals match in the Specialist Cup Hybrid Division. This is specifically the Privateer bracket, which is the highest ELO bracket we have. We have picked for Anakin, we have Marsh Madness and Brood War. For Floripa, we have Bay and Shoals, and the admin pick, which is game one, will be Evacuation. A lot of these maps, I would say water is important, like in any hybrid map, but long term, the water is less important, I would say, than say like Isthmus, for example. Shoals, I would say it's a little more important. It's good for map control in general. Taking a look at the civs, we have picked for Anakin, we have Gujars, Bohemians, Berbers, Huns, Malay, Armenians, and Persians, banning out the Lithuanians, Mongols, and Byzantines. Floripa picking the Malians, Japanese, Saracens, Italians, Vietnamese, Dravidians, and Chinese, and banning the Poles, Georgians, and Portuguese. So a lot of good hybrid civs here, it seems. The only odd one out, or a little odd one out, maybe I would say the Chinese, maybe the Vietnamese, but the thing about hybrid maps is the water is important, but it's not the only thing. The land control, the land military is ultimately going to be more crucial, and the water is more of a way to secure more extra food or potentially other resources. And sometimes it's good for map control, such as shoals, for example, or migration, which we might see. So, any civ, for example, like the Chinese, that just is good in general because of their eco bonus with extra villagers is going to be good. But let's go ahead and get into the games here. All right, everyone, we are here in game number one of this Privateer bracket quarterfinal set in the Specialist Hybrid Division. We have in the blue, Floripa with the Italians, and in the red we'll just go with Anakin. I'm not going to include the clan name every time. In the red, Anakin on the Persians, DGIHIR, FS dot, or FS being a clan name for Floripa there. So we're here on migration. And the main thing about this map is, of course, in the name. You want to make sure to migrate off to the main island. There's a lot of nice things here about the main island. We have a bunch of capturable cows. These are worth a little extra than normal herdables, than like a sheep, for example. You can see how this goat has 100 food. Cows have 150, a little more. There's also some boars, there's some berries, and there's some deer. And of course, there is gold and stone and wood lines. And on the starting map, we have cracked terrain, which makes your buildings take more damage. So for sure, at some point, you need to make sure you prioritize getting out of here and getting off to the main island. There's a sort of a case where water control could be quite important, actually, because the only way to get over to the other side is the shoals. That being said, usually where I've seen it, that by the time you can get military units out onto the water here, your opponent has had enough time to actually, get to the main island. So this is more like, maybe cutting off reinforcements, or potentially, say, your opponent is trying to come back here to maybe attack something that you have on the main island. You might be able to cut them off if you have water control. And there is fish, of course. I think that it is worth getting at some point, but as you can see, it's pretty sparse and pretty spread out. And there is so much food on the main island, I think it's usually not that worth to overinvest into it, I would say. But, for either civ here, it's not a bad option. We have the Italians having discounted fishing ships. It's not a huge discount. I think they cost about maybe 63 wood or so, the normal cost being 75 wood. It might be even not actually that big a discount. But it is good for getting your first fishing ship out, and is also just good in general for when you have a very tight wood sort of stockpile. If we see red coming out with the dock first, blue's gonna have some soon with this single fisherman. Also going to, okay, good. It's good Floripa caught that. Didn't have to walk all the way home back and then go back to the shoreline to build a dock. But dock is out for the Persian player. Smartly dropping some palisades to protect themselves. Without loom, they would be in trouble if the scout was out there. Blue scout is, in fact, looking around the place. Hasn't scouted the main island yet. Red is already on the main island, is getting some of these neutral cows. Interesting enough, though, because of the blue's scout position, could grab some of these. Seems to be looking for the dock. Luckily for red, already walled it up. Is not going to be an issue. Yeah, actually, blue to get this cow is interesting. It has to walk a really far away, but looks like it should be fine. So The Italians, they get cheaper fishing ships, and they also get discounts on their dock techs, and they also get discounts on the university techs as well. We have here a missing string 405088. It's a nice little feature in the most recent patch. As for the Persians, they have a healthier dock and faster working one. You can see it has 3600 HP, and the Italian one has half of that. Now, looking at this matchup, the Italians, they also have a discount on their age up. They have pretty nice archers. They also have perfectly serviceable knights, I would say. Not amazing, but they're perfectly decent. They don't get paladin, for example. They do have cavalier. They also have hussar. You know, they have bloodlines and husbandry. They have pretty much everything you would want. They have bombard cannon. The main thing about them, right, is they're kind of known as a archer civ, I would say. Of course, there's no reason they have to go archers. And in this case, they may want to not go into archers, against the Persians especially. Because the Persian knights actually get an attack bonus versus archers. So it's not a great idea. And then very long term, if we go into long term, the Persians have the Savar, which is a paladin replacement. That has some extra pierce armor. Makes them a little better against archers, along with the attack bonus, of course. Both players coming out onto the main island. As you can see, as I said earlier, right, it's a little too early for the enemy military ships to actually stop this crossing. So it's more like a case where, you know, you can take out the enemy's fishing ships and maybe cut off some reinforcements, or, you know, if somehow you secured this, right, but you had water control, you could stop your opponent from coming back. But of course, the main island is really a lot more important. It's got a lot more res that you're going to look for. And red is here with a new lumber camp being placed. And it's going to be up to feudal age first. We'll see if a fire comes out. That could be a big difference. I see a second dock as well, so red is definitely thinking about committing to a bit of water. Looks like blue is also coming out with another dock. Interesting. And a second lumber camp. Makes a lot of sense. Both players going for a second lumber camp on the main island because they want to commit to water. Ooh, galley. Interesting. So I don't think I've seen really high level play on this map in a while. I didn't watch Hidden Cup 5, which did feature this map. So, you know, typically what you'll see is on a map like this, a hybrid map, you'll just make a few fires. It'll kill the enemy fishing ships. And if your enemy has just a couple of galleys, they're going to be in trouble. In theory, if they micro the enemy fire down, then they should be fine. But, ooh, see if this scout picks up on this Vil. The Vil is loomed. Okay, just passing moment. Oh, no, it's come back. I think that Vil, yeah, is going to run away, unfortunately. It's probably going to die. But, you know, she was able to make the dock first, so at least she can, you know that she did good service for the Italian. For her people. But we have here for the Italian player, we have a single fire out, and the second fire is coming, and we have a demo raft, which is interesting. I assume that's going to go for the enemy fishing ships. Because, I mean, it also would be good against galleys, but, you know, I mean, there's enough space to work with. Not really worth committing to that unless you have, like, a lot of fires to draw the fire. But we'll see what happens with this demo raft. You know, it's also another thing about crossings, right? If you have land units, they could be totally annihilated by a bunch of demos, or even one demo, rather. We do have 4 galleys out for red, which should be plenty to deal with a single fire. So red was very quick to get those galleys out. It's usually the case where the galleys don't work is if it's very close, the fire gets to the enemy docks first, so they are able to do some damage to the galleys already. But Anakin was very quick here to get the galleys out. So it's 4 on... Should be 2. I saw there was another foul. Yeah, so there's 2 fires out. Blue's getting some galleys out of their own. But only has 2. But if they all fight together, in theory, they should still win this fight. So we'll see what the micro looks like here. One of blue ships goes down. And the demo is a big threat, but of course that could be focused down. But I think that's just there to threaten red to back off. Archer range coming up. Scout being a nuisance, but does die. So the archer range coming up is interesting. Red, with the scout dead, has to go to a spear to look around at things. Taking a look at targets, presumably. So this makes a lot of sense, of course, because if you are going galleys, you want to go for, You will want to go for fletching and bodkin later if you get into the castle age with all your military units. So a natural sort of option for the land. And of course you're already on gold anyway for your ships. A natural option will be going for archers here. There's a pretty big mass of galleys here for red. It's you know, a lot less for the Italian player. And they also lost one too, which is really bad. If a demo gets in here, it could do a lot of damage, but I don't think this is quite enough ships to make something happen. So you see there's a lot of vills crossing. They could get picked off by these galleys, and this is also kind of an awkward berry patch, I would say. Because blue was late to add in the galleys, they don't have nearly enough numbers to, you know, fight off this. But they are getting fletching in first, which will be interesting. So they're up to 6 galleys. Enemy has 8 here. With fletching, I think you should be able to win that engagement, especially if you're able to focus fire down the low HP one. Fletching's going to come in for red. But when it gets to this case, where your opponent has a big mass of galleys, much more than you, it gets tricky because they're able to kill off your galleys a lot faster, which means you can't contest nearly as easily. But blue can reinforce more easily. And now we're up to 6 and 7 right here. But there are more galleys incoming for red. And the archers are coming out. Just being trained in the range. They're hiding. They're practicing their, you know, target against targets. Getting ready to kill enemy. Range coming up for blue as well. Again, a natural progression because blue is on galleys already. This is like, as I said, you know, the Persian Knights are a threat, but it's not really a factor right now. Makes sense to have it, you know, just for something. And, okay, governing skirms. I mean, that also seems fine. It's possible that blue scouted this range at some point. Seems like they did. Should be able to kick off these archers here. We have 12 galleys versus 9 galleys, so the 12 galleys will win pretty much every time. But micro will make a difference. Weak 1 getting picked off. It's still kind of even, I would say. And now we're up to 8 and 7, 8 and 6. There's a weak 1 in there, though. There's another one here. It really helps for blue that this dock is placed right here, though. But the archers are coming in, doing some damage. The skirms are out. They're able to kill these archers, but we took some damage already. I believe that was, yeah, just a single kill there, but also some idle time, which is not great for Floripa here. Also, these vills are all completely exposed, so if red goes in for the mainland, Floripa doesn't have anything to defend these right now. Also, this cow is just sitting out of range. Again, red kind of taking a better engagement, just kind of has more galleys. It really helped that they were producing galleys from the very beginning. So blue is going to be in trouble here. Also, you can see there's a big eco lead. We have almost 2.5 minutes of idle time from the TC for blue, so that's a lot less vills. Also 2 vills here just thinking about their life. And they're going to be gold miners, it seems. These vills are coming back for mining more gold. Floating a lot of gold here. Doesn't have a market yet. Would be, yeah, so we see a market up for red. Has enough gold to buy up. Okay, yeah, market is being built here. Makes sense. Both players are thinking about buying up to Castle Age. Both pretty close. There's a pretty big gap. Almost 10 more vills for red. Also helps because the Persian TC, of course, works much faster. And the fishing ships have been uncontested. I mean, these fishing ships have also been uncontested, which is great for blue. Really nice to have these ships back here and away from the battle. Castle Age being clicked up. Another engagement between the 2 players. We have 10 versus 7, which of course is not great. We're going to be up to, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty close time. I would say maybe blue could use the timing to upgrade the galleys first, but I don't think it's really going to be quicker enough to make much of a difference. We have an archer and some skirms out. We have 9 archers out for red now. When those get upgraded to crossbows, that could be a pretty big issue for red, or for blue. And this gold patch is about to run out. You could go for this, but of course you'd rather just go for like this patch over here, maybe with an extra TC. But yeah, I mean, you know, blue hasn't really been able to find any damage, and red has been the only one really doing any damage to blue's eco. Both just in the sense of forcing idle time and also getting a few picks, forcing idle time, etc. So red is definitely ahead here, but things are not over just yet. A couple of really low HP galleys would be nice to pick off, but when they're all clumped like this, it's a total nightmare. Ooh, a nice find though to force these vills off of the shoreline. Also, nicely walled from red as well, I gotta say. Blue is still open and kind of like haphazard walls that sort of close things off, but not super great. These vills are now idle. They're gonna need to get a new job. And upgrades are in. It's going to be slightly faster for blue. Nicer to have the cheaper techs as well. You don't really want to lose any galleys here when you're waiting for them to be upgraded. But if you pick off some of your enemy's ships before they are upgraded, that's also good for you. But crossbow's going to be in for red. Ooh. So blue goes in to do some damage, but red is in with, looks like 10 crossbows. Right here. Siege Workshop's going to be built, but I think these crossbows are just going to kill these vills. Yeah, this is it's really bad for Floripa. The Siege Workshop does go up, but we take some more vill damage. We're going to need to, yeah, use that, build a mangonel. You can push these away, but a knight is out. Took a lot of damage, and the GG is called there. Yeah, so, and, oh yeah, so blue was able to actually get past here and get onto the fishing ships, but unfortunately just took too much damage here with the vills to be able to continue. So, interesting match. You know, it's probably just the fact that this is a higher bracket that I'm used to watching. A lot more play on the water here, a lot more investment into the galley line in general. And overall, you know, red was just sort of faster to producing galleys. Blue had a few fires, a demo first, so just was always behind in the mass. And then very good job for Anakin to add in the crossbows. That well, they were archers at first, but then they became crossbows in Castle Age, and just, you know, blue was kind of out of position here. Didn't really have anything to fend them off, and that combined with the very nice Persian eco led to a victory here for Anakin. So let's go ahead and get into game number 2. Hello everyone, we are here on to game number 2 of this quarterfinal set in the specialist hybrid bracket of the privateer bracket. Or I said bracket like 6 times. I don't really know all the, I don't know what's a group and what's a division. I don't know what the proper terminology is for anything. But in any case, we have here Anakin in the red with the Malay and Floripa on the Japanese in the blue. So Anakin took game number 1, so we're seeing if the Malay player can take the second game here. We're on Bay, also known as pants, because of the, you know, the pants shape. This is the buckle, of course. As we all know, a good buckle is made of some sturdy material. Rocks are a good option, of course, because they are, you know, rock solid. They'll make sure that your pants don't fall down when you wear it with stones. But yeah, I mean, so this map, I was going to say it's pretty easy to wall off between the wood lines, but Floripa has a kind of a bad gen here, I would say, at least compared to Anakin, where you can nicely just wall to this wood line between this one. One thing I will say about this, I've always noticed, is that when you do that, this stone gets walled out, which means if you play a little more defensive and your opponent gets a little more map control, they can deny this stone from you entirely, which can be a pretty big issue. Both for, of course, you know, building a castle, but also building extra TCs as well. Of course, you can build 2 TCs, but at the beginning, but you know, you'll need extra stone at some point. But yeah, another hybrid map where the fish are going to be important, but they also run out pretty quickly, I would say. So I would have to assume, unless I am proved wrong and something crazy happens, we'll probably just see fires from both players. There's not really enough space to work with the galleys, and you don't want to invest too much into the water as well. Especially for the Malay player here, where you click up much faster. You actually get cheaper fish traps that have more food. So even if the fish runs out, it's not a bad option for you to just add some fishing traps, maybe in place of a few farms here and there. But the extra age up time also is good to get your fire out much faster than your opponent can. And you're going to want to do that when your opponent is playing the Japanese, when they have faster working fishing ships. So they're going to be better than yours. You want to make sure you're contesting them. Blue is coming in here with the scout. Might be able to stop. We'll see how red reacts to this. Red has no loom, of course, so this Vil will be in trouble if they are not protected. And, ooh, that's quite bad for red. I was going to drop a palisade, and okay, I think okay, looks safe. The quick walls are up, but awkwardly, the scout is pushing the deer. So can't really come back to defend, meaning the dock is denied at 82 or 89% for the moment. Scout's coming back though, so looks like red should be just fine. Dock is delayed a little bit, which is unfortunate for getting your food income, but not a huge deal. Ultimately, should be fine. And even if you click up later than your opponent, you're the melee, so you'll click up faster. Ooh, but very nice from blue to be active with the scout. Another quick wall just barely protects the Vil on 1 HP. If I was this Vil, I would be very unhappy with my job, to be honest. I would love to see if blue just came back again, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the dock is going to just be finished. And Anakin will be just fine. Missing string 405088 are going to come out for red. Getting in the boar, getting in the sheep. And of course, because these are quite high level players, they push the deer from very far away. I am not nearly that confident in my multitasking, and I don't bother. But it's good for them to have the extra food that comes in much faster. It leads to faster up times. And interestingly, we see blue is up to feudal in 1 minute, which means I think red will actually be behind. If they click up right now, it's, yeah, so even that, look how close it is still. It's like 20 seconds off, but actually still will be behind, which is significant, which means blue can get the fire out earlier. I think this comes down to the fact that the dock was later because of the contested docking Vil, thanks to blue's scout. So the fish were in later than they would be for red, or sorry, for blue. Not to mention these fishing ships work faster for the Japanese anyway. So the second dock coming out, so blue is going to commit quite a bit to water, which makes sense. You know you did some damage. You might be up up to feudal faster, and you want to make sure you protect your fishing ships, which are extra good compared to a generic Civ. But red scout is fully untouched. Blues is a little more damaged. But we have 2 docks out, so fire's coming out from both docks. And the second dock does come up for red, but it's a little late. I mean, a fire is going to come out pretty soon, but it's probably not going to be fast enough to really contest these. You're going to lose. I mean, I guess it depends if this is garrison or not. You can do some micro where your fishing ships block the fire from the fire galleys. So we'll see what red happens, or what happens here with red. Another low HP Vil, but luckily Anakin's paying attention. And blue's going to wall up a third dock. Wow. Going full in on the water here. But yeah, the 2 fires are out. They're going to kill this fishing ship. A fire galley is out, but you can't contest that with just 1. Second one will be out, but 2 more are on the way. And you could even produce out of here right now. I don't think you could keep producing, but you could for the moment. Blue just looking around, seeing what they can find. And Floripa is already nicely walled here. Well, not quite. I mean, this is planned walling, right? It'll come in soon once all the funds get. So we're about to have 4 fires for red. But we already have 4 fires for blue. And we're still producing more fires. And a few demo rafts as well. So I don't think there's much of a way red can really come back for this. But I guess we'll see what happens. This is also really important for red, because you're already kicked off of water. Your fishing ships aren't working. We see a sneaky little back dock here. This is really important because your enemy's fishing ships work faster. You don't have any fish. So if you keep investing on the water, it's really important that you're able to actually get back on the water. Mill coming up for blue. Pairing the dock even. against 3 fires. Should be fine, but it is, you know, expensive. An unfortunate extra expense. This fishing ship here is able to find a job again with this sneaky dock. We have a demo raft, 6 fires for blue, only 4 fires for red. I mean, there's more coming out. There is a demo raft as well. Could make something happen against this here. You need 2 demos to fully one-shot a full HP fire, but if we have fire support, you know, that could make a big difference. But there's 7 fires now for blue. And red's walling up as well here. No player has gone for any kind of land aggression at the moment. They're all in on the water. And this fishing ship is going to get picked off. Another fire comes out. The demo does come out. It does do some good damage. Need to focus fire down these low HP fires, though. And they're kind of all hitting different targets. And, yeah, I mean, this doesn't look good for red. I mean, we got more... yeah, I mean, more fires are coming out. But at this point, the water is all lost. There's no way you can really contest all of these. You would need a castle to protect your docks. But, of course, you can't do that. It is the feudal age. You're not even on stone. And that's quite bad for red as well, because they dropped a 3rd dock and they produced a lot more fires that weren't actually able to make anything happen there. And all the meanwhile, blue's fishing ships are working in peace, and we have more missing string 405088s being produced, because blue has pretty safely secured the area with 8 fires now. And red doesn't really have much of a shot to come back on water right now. So, we'll see what red decides to do. Now, you're still in melee. You're not going to have as much food at the moment as your opponent. But, because of the faster aging up, you could maybe find a good timing and put some pressure in on the land. Range coming up for blue here. Market's going to be up for red. They're definitely going to think about spending their gold to get up to Castle Age. I'm not sure what they're thinking for military-wise. Range is going to be up here. So the, you know, the purple, or sorry, purple. I always mix this up because the blue and the purple in this game are very similar looking. Also, unfortunately, these, whoever took these nice beach residencies are going to have very high insurance costs because of the Japanese fire ships here in the water. But for blue, the Japanese Cav Archer, they actually get bonus damage versus archers. I don't know if that's going to come into play, but it is something to keep in mind whenever you go archers against your opponent. Doesn't mean they're going to go for them. Of course, even if you know, even if they have that bonus, they have to get a pretty big, massive CA to really do anything, make anything happen. If you had more archers, it doesn't really matter anyway, or more crossbow really at that point. But yeah. Gonna lose some more houses for red, which is another unfortunate fact of losing the water. Double range here. And blue is also making archers. Does have, actually, interestingly, well, actually, this is due to the research time. But yeah, so red clicks up later, but because of the melee, they are going to be up about the same time and actually have more villagers, 38 to 35. Thanks to the fact that they have the faster aging up. Of course, they do not have any fishing ships, which at some point, these fishing ships are going to be quite inefficient, and at some point, they won't have any fish. But for right now, they are a pretty big advantage for Floripa. But both players are walled up here. Nothing to find. No real damage to find. It's maybe the reason why they both went for archers. If you're nicely walled, if you're expecting your opponent to be nicely walled up, you know, scouts are... Stable in general can only find so much damage. And of course the melee are missing the 2nd and 3rd cavalry armor, so it's kind of an awkward option, I would say, for them as well. Villagers are coming out. I think this is probably an extra TC, I assume. Yeah, extra TC coming out for blue. Nice to get out here and expand early. Crossbow's going to be in 30 seconds. Crossbow's going to be in for 30 seconds for the opponent. Going to need fletching for blue. Actually, only 4 villagers are, or 4 on food. We'll need a little more on food because these fishing ships, even with the Japanese bonus, are kind of inefficient right now. Yeah, I'm gonna drop some farms. We have a few more crossbows for blue. Ooh, okay, and red is in here. So this is going to depend a lot on the micro. Neither player has bodkin. But red has significantly less units at this point, which is not great news for them. If they could find this pick, it'd be great, but I don't think that's going to happen. There's actually, this is really far away as well for blue to go, so I wouldn't even think to go that far. Forward siege coming up for red. Definitely think about going just for a 1 TC all in, which makes sense because you know your opponent has water. You assume that they're going to have a better eco than you. They are investing in more eco than you, so your play is to go for investing into more military. But this is a pretty bad number difference for red. We have doubled the number of crossbows for blue. With Mango or Scorpion, we could make something happen, but with just crossbows, yeah, this is not so great. But I think red's just trying to keep lead blue away from, you know, going back here basically and doing anything, or also, you know, picking up this Vil, for example. But the Mangonel's gonna be out. Now these crossbows are gonna be just completely trapped. So the real question is if, I mean, they forced some idle time, which is good, I guess. But yeah, I mean, this is mainly just to buy time for red, I would say. But the unfortunate thing is that you really want to have a big archer mass, at least even, or more, ideally. But losing these crossbows means you're going to have just less in general. With the siege, you can make something happen, though. So we'll see how that pans out. University coming up for blue. Thinking about ballistics, which will make a pretty big difference. So red losing that army is quite bad because they have less eco, so they can, you know, it's a lot harder for them to reproduce all those units. And some more crossbows being picked off. Really nice for blue to be active with these crossbows and go into the enemy lines. And see, I don't think they've seen this siege workshop just yet. Okay, the siege workshop is in sight now. You got to be careful around that, of course. Bodkin's coming in. Wonder what blue might think to deal with these mangonels. If you have good micro, you could just, you know, could micro them down with split micro. But it is 2, so you have to be quite cautious about. You could lose all of these in a moment of lapsed judgment. These crossbows were just for reconnaissance. And red is going to just go in. Actually has no military from blue right now. Gonna go for knights or light cav to kill the mangonels. And blue's coming around the side. Could find some nice damage because red has no military at home. But red is in here. So we'll see what they're able to make happen. Mangonels are coming in. These 2 Vils get out in time. Getting in the armor for blue. But blue's gonna come in and kill this wood line and maybe this stone as well. These Vils are completely exposed. And knights are gonna be in soon. This is you only the second armor. You don't have bloodlines. I mean, this is a decent amount to do some damage to knights, but ideally you want a lot more. And they can kill this siege quite easily. But blue is in. Ooh, blue has found the stone. And red has nothing. Ooh, just passing. There we go. These Vils are all going to die, which is really bad for blue. Thinking about a forward castle. But yeah, with that find, they do call the GG there. So an interesting case of kind of the opposite of the previous game, I would say, where one opponent was just kind of faster to draw to get the water military that they needed. This case being fires instead of galleys. Finding that damage on the sort of docking Vil, because there was no scout. The scout was all the way out here for red. It was not able to come back home and protect the docking Vil. So the dock was late. The sort of food was in late. Maybe even, I don't know what Anakin's APM is like, but maybe also spent some time here, wasn't managing something back home, and was actually later to feudal even though they're melee. And Floripaaoe just did a great job of giving 3 docks out, getting a lot of fires out, just didn't give Anakin any chance to come back on water. And with that, also Anakin lost a lot of crossbows here. That was a pretty big deal. And then Floripaaoe just had a really big mass of crossbows, completely ignored the siege and just went for the kill here. And that sealed the game. So let's go ahead and get into game number 3. Hello everyone, we are here into game number 3 of this quarterfinal set in the privateer bracket. We have in the red, Anakin on the Armenians. In the blue, we have Floripaaoe on the Malians. So, this is, I would say, I mean, I don't know what the mental state of either player is, but I would say that this is a pretty important game because if you win this game, you're on match point. If you lose this game, you have to win 2 games in a row. Otherwise, you are out. And we're here on Brood War. So Brood War is one of the 2 maps that was added into the knockout stage. So I haven't seen a lot of games on it. But it is interesting. Again, we have the fish that is useful, I would say. But this is the water control is kind of more important in a long-term sense because you have access to this this relic, of course, in the golden stone. We do have also some extra hunt here, which is nice. Making sure that wasn't just Anakin's hunt, but yeah, that is though this one has learned how to walk on water and is thinking about what it would be like to live over here and munch on this patch of dead grass. But we have these really big clumps of wood here on the left and right, and we have these pools of kind of oval shaped pools, pretty thin, I would say. So I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if either player didn't dock. I wouldn't be surprised if they did dock and just made like maybe 3 or 4 fishing ships and then just ignored it from there on. We have, of course, you know, an elephant and a rhino and some ostriches. So the rhino and the elephant, they both give some extra food compared to a normal boar. I think normal boar is either 300 or 320. I should stop quoting specific numbers because I don't actually know and someone's going to correct me, but good on them if they do. And we can also see that the deer in this question, which is ostrich, actually has 140 food. Another feature of this map is that all of these stone is outside of your base. You don't have any home stone. You either have to find it here in the corners, in the center, or on these little islands. And we have relics dotted around here in the corner, and on the sort of island here. So that's 5 relics in total. Malians are a pretty common pick. I think they are maybe the most popular pick or the second most popular pick in the hybrid division in general. They just have a nice bonus with the discounted wood. And in this case, you probably don't even need to make any military on the water. You might have to consider if your opponent is on the same pool, but in this case, maybe less so. You could consider a sneaky dock right here if you wanted to, but that's probably not going to happen. On this map, of course, you can wall pretty nicely. Doesn't take that much, so I'm not sure what either player will go for here. Wouldn't even be surprised with a fast castle of some sort. I don't think your opponent can do that much damage when they're so far away and you could just wall up. But we'll see what they decide to do. Armenians as a civ, to me, is a new civ. Well, it is a new civ. I guess it's not that new anymore. I don't know too much about them. I'm not super familiar. But they get a couple of bonuses. One thing which is nice on a map like this where the relics are kind of far spread out is that when they make their monastery, which is a fortified church, they can make a warrior priest, which is a much faster moving monk that actually fights. It still heals, but it can pick up relics and they move significantly faster than a normal monk could. You also get a free relic spawned in your first fortified church, and they also add arrows. So they're a good defensive structure in general. Blue coming over here to scout what is going to happen. I'm not actually sure what... I don't know what Armenians usually go for. They do have perfectly fine archers. I think it's... Yeah, they're missing thumb ring, but I think they're fully upgraded otherwise. Which is unfortunate, of course. But your opponent is missing bracer. So you're not going to be too worried about if they go for arbalests themselves. Yours will probably be better. Actually, I don't know if with thumb ring you'd win there. But in any case, we probably won't see that happen. Malians, of course, have very nice cavalry line. That being their, their light cav and their camels, and even their cavalier also fine. Late game, they get Farimba, which is a unique tech in the Imperial Age. Gives them +5 attack, which is actually basically +3 because they're missing the last attack bonus, which is a +2. Of course, that is a very long-term thing to consider, and, your opponent might go for cavalry, but they're not super known for it, but also seems fine on a big open map like this to go for it. Blue's already walled up, it seems. Also going for the second dock for the efficiency. Very nice. Red's going to be Nicely walled here as well. And neither player building a barracks, so yeah, I don't think either of them are thinking about adding any kind of military right now. It doesn't seem like, especially if you know you're already walled up like this, you know, you assume your opponent is as well. A pretty nice straight line here for Floripa. And red's going to come over here and try to take a look at things, but I don't think there is a hole. So yeah, they're going to be stopped in their tracks. So neither player's going for a fast castle per se, but they're not producing military right now. So they're probably just thinking about, ooh, galley out for red. Really? A galley? That's a little surprising to me. It's not from a sneak dock, so I don't know what that is for, but maybe just to keep an eye on things. You haven't seen your opponent's docked, so I don't see any reason to build that, to be honest. I would say it's a misclick, but, well, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Seems like it's a pretty expensive investment. I think it's 90 wood, 30 gold. So that's 120 res. And you're not spending it on going up faster. But, well, the galley's out. I mean, it will give you some nice vision, at least. But yeah, both players seem pretty secure here. Market coming up for red. Nice fishing eco. Red is kind of missing out on the fishing eco as well. Would need to maybe place a dock here. Only has 2 fishing ships out. Double bed X coming in for blue now. And yeah, that's galleys shooting at the scout. Red coming back to take a look at things. Yeah, you see the blacksmith. I mean, you can sort of tell your opponent's not really doing much of anything. And actually going to sell the stone to age up faster for red, which is interesting. Which, you know, in theory, if your opponent doesn't do that, you can be up to castle first. But the real question is, what is red going to do with that? Because, of course, you know, you sell your stone, you can't build extra TCs. You also cannot, you know, it's not that you can't go for a castle, but you have to mine significantly. You have to mine an extra 200 stone to build a castle. And all of the stone is out here. You could also transport just to here as well, if you want. I mean, this place is pretty secure right now. But red's going to be up to castle first. Galley's out for Floripa, maybe inspired by seeing their opponent build a galley. Also seems fine to just have one, I suppose. Market's going to come up. So Floripa is going to click up, but will have the stone. Okay, transfer's coming out. So I think red is thinking about, I mean, that could be just to get some land presence. Maybe thinking about getting some aggression after selling the stone. Let's see what they decide to do. I'm a little surprised no player just went for a fast castle if they're gonna wall up, not make any military, and then just go to castle edge anyway. But maybe what they were thinking is they want to be cautious and be ready if their opponent is making some kind of military. Maybe you want to be ready to make your own military. But blue's keeping an eye on things here, and ooh, I don't know any hotkeys, so I'm terrible. But does scout these 2 forward villas, which is an interesting sight. Maybe tells blue that something is up here. What that something is, we shall see. But this is nicely fortified. Of course, with a siege workshop, you can, you know, push this down. But blue is not that far behind a castle, so it could make their own siege workshop. Okay, fortified church up front. You can get this relic very nicely placed. So yeah, you get a free relic, and the relics help you shoot more arrows. And you can also garrison units in here, which is nice. Blue looking around to kill that scout. But the scout is dancing around, and once the church is up, should be just fine. I don't think you can garrison the scout in the fortified church, but it does provide arrow fire. But red has no stone at all. Warrior priest is coming in, can grab this relic, can also grab these relics as well. A nice thing about red's position, going for the siege workshop, of course. I'll be curious to see what they decide to use to back those up with. Could just be warrior priest, I suppose. They cannot convert enemy siege. You would also need redemption. You have quite a bit of gold, so it's not a terrible choice. But yeah, I think we're probably going to see picking up this relic. Healing up this scout is also quite nice. You could go and kill that scout now because you're full HP. Siege workshop from blue. And your own monastery. This is interesting. Maybe thinking your opponent's going to make some knights. Or maybe you're also going to get research redemption. We see a battering ram coming out for red. Should be able to do some nice damage before mangonel comes out. But once the mangonel comes out, there's not too much that battering ram can really do. With this nice wall that blue has. What would be really cool is if red was able to get a sneaky dock. Then you could just transport across here and get right into the enemy's eco. You could even kill all these fishing ships, which would be really bad. And red's going to go ahead and drop a town center here. I think that was purchased because I haven't seen red on any stone anywhere. A couple of scorpions coming out. Interesting. So these are good, but again, they can't... Behind this nice wall... Blue's like playing arena. Like, you have behind this nice wall, you have the mangonels. Can't really contest that at all. And also redemption coming in. I mean, that's quite expensive. I believe it's 475 gold. That's a pretty big investment from blue, but it will stop red's advance. But maybe red is just thinking to put some pressure and force blue to invest into military while you go into eco for yourself. If that's the plan, maybe that will work out here because blue is investing into military to defend this, while as red has a second TC up already. That being said, blue has this nice fish trap set up. So there's that. And the second TC is going to come up. So we'll see how things play out. From what I've seen of this map, though, having the map control is pretty important. You can see blue is in this corner here. So if they are stuck here long term and are not able to break out, red's going to have way more resources than Floripa will. Also getting the relics too, which is pretty big. The scout looking around, maybe try and pick up one of these warrior priests, but probably wouldn't win that fight, I think, even with the bonus because of how low HP they are. Sanctity coming in even for blue now. That's crazy. Let's see if they don't get actually they do get atonement on the Malian, so that could be another option. Building another fortified church here. I wonder if Anakin will transfer the relics into here. So it looks like we're just on warrior priests and siege, but we haven't done anything with the siege just yet. But we have forced our opponent to invest in defensive military here. Ooh. I didn't think about this. This is I like to see this. Garrison the warrior priests in the ram. They are infantry units, so they do make it go much faster. However, the mangonels are out and the redemption monks are out, so this ram is going to die pretty quickly. And all of the siege can be converted. We can get this church to fire on the monks, which is good for red, but you have to be careful. Blue can just skirt around here on the edge and just convert all of the siege from red. Well, not all of the siege. You can't convert the battering ram unless you're up close. Ooh, a great shot, though, from Anakin. But if this conversion gets off, it's quite bad for Anakin as well. Ooh. It's pretty... Okay, just barely gets out of range there. Gonna try and convert the Vills now, but you can garrison. So I'd say I'd still probably prefer red's position. It's really nice to have this area here, but it's not like blue's in a really tight spot to be honest, because it's gonna be hard for red to really push. With the Sanctity Redemption monks and the mangonels, I mean, for one thing, you can see this fortified church is just gonna go down. We're gonna get devotion in. I wonder if this is just gonna be a full monk war. We would need atonement for either player. Oh, it looks like actually atonement is in, even for blue. So they have the advantage there right now. Mangonel coming in. Gets a shot, but the Sanctity does protect that. So I think this is going to get converted. Ooh. Just barely out of reach. I think actually this house is kind of unfortunate that it blocked the monk. Mangonel's coming out again, but the Sanctity is going to protect it. Now the warrior priests are out. The battering ram is killed. And this house is pretty low HP. I wonder if you could just focus fire this with your church and your mangonels and then push through. The warrior priests can be converted by the monks, so Anakin has to be careful. There are only 2 monks right now. More are coming out. Ooh. So yeah, these warrior priests will do well, but they can be converted. So Anakin's gonna have to be pretty careful. So blue has the tools to fight against this, but it's going to see how it plays out. Ooh, yeah. 2 conversions come out there. These warrior priests are going to get killed by red before they do anything else, but there is 2 military units lost for red, which is not good when you're pushing. Nice mangonel shot there. Another conversion is going to come out on one of these warrior priests. I think it's a low HP one, though. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a low HP one. So the warrior priest will do well. They'll find a lot of Vil kills. And a monk goes down to a mangonel shot. Ooh, and Anakin's up to Imperial Age. Interesting. So Imperial Age will give you... Well, I'm going to give you Trebs, if you had access to that. They don't get bomber cannons, so we don't have that. It does give you more monk techs, but because your monks don't convert, your warrior priests don't convert, that's not a bonus for them. It would be a bonus for these monks, though. Another conversion coming out. Gonna kill? No, not quite. Actually, this scout's gonna get converted. Or he's gonna get killed instead. It's getting quite hectic for both players here. And this Mangonel is gonna get converted as well. Ooh, and kills Scorpion and a Mangonel with it. That's really unfortunate. Redemption's gonna come in for red. Also has Sanctity, and really should have had that earlier if you're gonna push in with your warrior priests. But I mean, this is a decent amount of pressure. Maybe as well, red's able to find some extra leverage with Imperial Age. But blue has still a pretty good eco here behind this. We have 6.5 minutes of idle time for red from their TC, so significantly less Vils than they would have had otherwise. They also have to spend all this time researching Imperial Age. Ooh, blue is now up to Imp. You could use those upgrades on your monks because you have a bunch of normal monks. I mean, they have almost everything you could want for the Malian, just missing Illumination. Okay, forward castle's coming up, so we are thinking about pushing in with Trebs. But sneaky transport, or maybe not so sneaky, I guess, because it's on your own land. But transport from blue means they can get up onto this island and get the minerals they want. They could also just go, bypass everything completely and go over here. Also, an interesting feature about these wood lines, it looks really dense, but as you can see from Anakin, once you chop through this first part, this part is like kind of hollow. So you can actually go over here. If you had an onager or something, you could just cut through here. So something to keep in mind. I don't think it's probably not going to happen. That'd be a lot of investment from Floripa, but we'll see. But yeah, the castle's going to come up, and that will protect some forward docks here on Floripa's water. And the Armenians, their galleys, shoot an extra arrow. So they're extra dangerous. But this is a nicely fortified position. Actually, it would be quite good for red to kill this blacksmith before any research comes in. But of course, you don't know what you're researching. Might actually, okay, no, but red's not thinking about that. Red wants to go in for the kill, but we do have 9 monks for blue. And the light cav as well is going to do pretty decently well. Could have a nice mangonel shot, but the conversion is, okay, going to get deleted. This is starting to be a lot of pressure, though. We also have Treb out for red. Toman's going to come in for red kind of late. Quite a bit of light cav out. And I think we get a few conversions. Maybe able to pick off... yeah, kind of had to take a pretty circuitous route there. But we'll get some conversions from blue. And we have to push back all of these units. And they're all getting clumped up. It's terrible. Mangonel's converted. Other Mangonel's converted. Gonna go for the Treb. And I think red kind of needs some kind of other military. Unless you're gonna go all normal monks so you can just try and convert your enemy's monks. This Treb is gonna go down. And these monks are gonna get cleaned up by the light cav. However, red is on water. Has a single war galley back home. And could think about adding some more at some point. Of course, we have a lot of action here. It's a pretty big mess. Reds is able to clean things up here. And is adding in spears, which could soon be halbs. Is adding man-at-arms. So, natural addition from red is to go into champions. The Armenians get 100 HP champions with their unique tech. They have pretty much everything you could want for your arms line, I believe, right? They have supplies and gambesons, squires, arson, all the good things. Of course, you have squires, and you don't actually have any of the blacksmith techs, but normally you could go for those if you're in warrior priest because they benefit from the same sort of, technology because they're both infantry. War guys coming in. You can kill some of these fishing ships and maybe the Vils. Ooh, a drone is coming out as well. Also a very good addition for red. However, they can be converted, so have to be quite cautious from red. So the techs are coming in. Red kind of, I was going to say, yeah, red needs some more mills, though, if we're going to try and produce a lot of champions, and they are coming in. And a single Trev is out for blue. Nothing to destroy this for red, because you don't have any bombard cannons. Ferreter's coming in, which does give the extra HP. Also benefits the warrior priest as well. Gives them extra HP. But I believe, yeah, Malians do get bombard cannons, so that gives them a bit of an advantage here. Makes it easier for them to snipe Trebs. And blue also has another out here too, if you go through this wood line. And you can actually still, well, it'd be a little awkward. You could transfer to here, build a dock, transfer over here, and then get out. So they're not fully locked in. Big monk war here. Red has more monks. And is going to convert more monks. But these converted monks are going to die to the mangonel. And then these monks that got converted are going to be converted again. Fervor coming out now for red. Armor coming in for red. Still just on two-handed swordsmen. Only have 8 of them. But presumably that will be champion shortly. Blue has quite the smorgasbord of AI army of units here. This Treb's going to die to a mangonel. Ooh, not quite. Actually kills the mangonel first. But we're coming in with the cavalry. And we have a pretty nice non-auto farm setup here for blue. Cap Ram coming in now for red. Should do, if you have a good mass, should do decently to protect your infantry. But of course, with your opponent having cavalry, they can kill those decently quickly. But if you pop out with your spears or whatever you have, you can do all right. And these guys coming in, I would have liked to see them. They could have killed these fishing ships way earlier, honestly. But I think what happened is they got kicked back with the monks. So, yeah, it's kind of an awkward spot to be in, I would say. Maybe you could also think maybe just transfer here and like build another castle or just kill these Vils or something. Gambesson is in. The attack is in. Still missing a few upgrades on the champions, which are not even champions just yet. That's a big upgrade missing is the champion upgrade. But you do have the unique tech. And let's see, do we have... We don't have Frimba in yet for the Malian player. I think you can afford that. Yeah, you can afford that. You do have the res for it. But I think blue is focused on here. So we have a bomber cannon that can kill the Trebs, but it can be converted by the monks. And a bit of a Treb war. However, there's a lot of units for blue, and these cavalry can snipe all these monks, which is quite bad for red. We're out of position with our military. They're all back here, getting into the rams. We're also still missing champion, just two-handed swordsman. And, I mean, this ram will go ahead and maybe kill one of these bomber cannons, actually. But, oh, not quite. They're going to die first. The war priests come out, and they do try and go for the bomber cannons, but well, we do get the kills, which is good. But we lose all of that military in the process. Now we have a much bigger mass of rams. Ideally, these would be siege ram, but we don't have siege ram. So, in that ideal scenario, we cannot have it. We're still missing champions, still just two-handed swordsmen. But these rams are going to come in, probably kill a Treb or two. Nice splash damage gets a hit on the packed Treb. That Treb does go down. These rams are going to die, but the two-handed swordsmen come out and they're going to kill a lot here. Not champion, but very tanky 90 HP two-handed swordsman. Things are getting very hectic here. Champion is going to come in, but it's a minute away. And there's a really big scuffle. I think red has the numbers advantage here. 73 military overall. That's insane. There's just 42-handed swordsmen there, and the game is called there. GG, and congratulations to Anakin for winning this game. So this is kind of an interesting case where I think it's really important to remember on this map, you want to be really cautious about getting penned in here. You saw how, I mean, actually, blue is floating a lot of res, but I think was just had so much chaos going on. And actually, you're even running out of space to build stuff at this point, right? Ideally, you want to have way more stables out, or arch ranges or whatever you're building, but there's not even enough space. Like, it's just very cramped. And of course, I also have to go over here. This is a nice pickup from blue to get all of this extra res here on the island. But yeah, things are getting very cramped in here. I don't think they do actually get hand cannon here for the Malians, so that could have been an option. But again, like, you only had so much space to work with. So kind of looks like on this map, you want to make sure you can get out and expand. And actually, we were up to 3 TCs as well for red. Eco is still pretty even, though, I would say, especially with these fishing ships. And blue did a really good job, I think, of defending. Maybe just need to think about maybe expanding out here, maybe getting a counterattack, because red always had all of the military over here. All the production buildings are over here. If you're able to be sneaky, maybe expand over here, maybe find some damage, maybe even dock your opponent's lake over here. You can maybe find some damage. And yeah, very nice. Nicely played, and that is a win for Anakin. So we are on to match point for him. Let's see if he can pick up the win in game number 4. Hello everyone, and welcome to game number 4 of this quarterfinal set. We have Floripa here with the Dravidians in the blue, and in the red we have Anakin on the Huns. And this is match point for red. Just needs to win this game and they are into the semifinals. For Floripa, you need to win 2 games in a row. So let's see what they're able to make happen. Here on Marsh Madness, a map where the fish is pretty bad. I mean, it is there. It is nice. But it is pretty spread out. So you do need to redock for sure. One interesting feature that I was talking to when I was on, I was co-casting with Age of Empires. We see this like middle shoals areas. Never seen this utilized, but this could be an interesting kind of place to maybe include some, even just fires or cannon galleys or something to kind of, when things go to a late game situation when you have a lot of fortifications, you have water control, you can maybe use that. Never seen that happen, but hey, maybe it's going to happen this time. We have on this map, we have a bunch of clusters of trees that are surrounded in this rocky gravel stuff. So, similar to Land Madness, you cannot build on this. It doesn't mean you can't wall on your wood line, but it's a little more complicated. Usually what I've seen players do, they saturate with the wood line with however many, villagers they want. They wait until they've sort of chopped in kind of like, half circle-ish shape, and then they just sort of wall them in there. Kind of an interesting way they adapt. One thing I think that could be quite good, because your opponent needs to do that to wall in, they cannot do normal walls. Archers could be quite good because they can just shoot over. Your vills are totally locked in here and they have no way to escape. However, it's also a pretty big open map, so opening stables would make a lot of sense as well. Especially when, for example, you are playing as the Huns, you have faster producing stables, is a nice bonus to have. It's also, in some ways, kind of a benefit that that's the way you have to wall your wood lines as the Huns, because you can't build houses to wall things. So, you have to include your lumber camp in the wall, as opposed to, say, if you had to full wall, it's a little more awkward and, makes things weaker if you never had a house in there. But yeah, I think the Huns are a pretty good choice here. Dravidians being very good on water. They get extra 200 wood whenever they age up, which is a great bonus for any sort of water setting, of course. You're going to need a lot of wood. It's also quite good for archer openings, which is kind of the main choice that I've seen picked for Dravidians when it comes to land military. You do, of course, have very nice elephant archers. They shoot faster. And nice skirmishers which shoot faster. Elephant archers, though, quite expensive, as all elephant units are. So we don't usually see that happen, at least in a 1v1 game here. But they do have nicer skirms, which is good to have against the Huns, because long term, you're usually thinking about, especially in a nice big open map like this, you're considering when is the Huns player going to go into CA. They get discounted CA, which is a really good bonus for CA because you want to mass up a lot of them. And that is when they are especially good. same as any kind of ranged unit in general. Both players have docked here. I'm curious to see how much investment they will do. It's a pretty far ways to go to make a fire. And I don't think it's worth to go into galleys, right? So if you were to do any kind of aggression, you would make a fire, but it is like a really far way to go around. So, you know, you might just consider, just get the fishing ships in, get some fish, whatever, and then let's just play on land. Usually that's the way I see things play out. But we'll see what these players decide to do here. Hun's player is going to click up first. Dravidian's player will be not too far behind. I believe they got, yeah, they researched Loom, whereas the Hun's player, well, the Hun's player did research Loom as well. I'm just dumb. My apologies. But just going to be 30 seconds behind for blue. Not a big difference. Pretty big map, so there's a lot of space to work with. And blue is just sort of looking around. See second wood line. So presumably red is going to invest in the feudal age for a while. Could also be a case where you invest a lot in the water. I don't think that's going to happen. We're not even on gold. I think this is more a case that, you know, we're going to have a drawn out feudal age. And we're going to go for presumably scouts here. I would be surprised if we saw anything else. Ooh, you have some forward vills here from blue. Interesting. I wonder if they're thinking about maybe towering. You could tower, cover this stone, and cover this wood line here. Might be an interesting choice. We're not actually... Okay. Or it could just be a forward range. But the fact that there's 3 vills... I mean, your scout's here already, so you'd probably be safe with 1 vill. We'll see what they decide to do. So yeah, I think archers are a pretty good choice here, like I said, because you can pick up a lot of these vills here. And it's a pretty kind of tight sort of area, I would say. Yeah, the barracks is up. Forward range is up. Not on gold, though, from blue. So maybe just skirms right now. But you might also go for this gold here. That would also make sense. And red does make a fire. So this fire can kill this these fishing ships, but it will take a while to get there. Okay, we're just making skirms. Skirms are not going to do well versus scouts. And blue does know about this. But of course, you get a few spears out. Your barracks is right here. Not a bad option at all. So yeah, these skirmishers, they fire faster than normal skirms do. Red's flooding a lot of wood. Presumably we'll drop some farms pretty soon. Dropped a... I think... I know exactly what happened there. Wanted to drop an outpost. Or sorry, wanted to drop a farm. But dropped an outpost instead. It's the same hotkey between the military and the villager production. Or sorry, the economic production. But yeah, we see some damage here. We see 1 vill picked off from blue. So we're on full trash from blue. Which, you know, they don't do a lot of damage versus vills. But if you have nothing to contest, they will find some picks. And the scout here is a great add in the mix. Fletching's going to be in pretty soon. Which means these skirmishers will be extra threatening. But still not that threatening. But, yeah, we're going to find a second vill kill here for Floripa, which is good damage. Kill the spear, though. So, again, this is kind of sees where, like, don't find that much damage. We're on skirmishers now for red. Which, I mean, you have less skirms, you don't have fletching, and they're worse. So, we'll see how they do. We do see 4 scouts in blue's eco, though, which is a great find for red. If you're taking a lot of damage at home, you can find some damage on your opponent's base. It's a great option for you. The fire guy is also going to take 5 weeks about to get to their opponent. We have a pretty big mass of skirms now for blue. You can see they still just tickle this villager, but they will force idle time, and after enough damage, they will kill some vills, even though it takes quite a while. We can see how, like, a tower or some archers would do great here, because these scouts can't do anything, but if you have a bunch of archers, they could just kill everything. You can see, in this case, these skirms are going to be quite irritating from blue. But if you make some scouts, you can kill all of these skirms. But you still do have to be cautious. It's quite a lot of skirms. They do have fletching. You don't have bloodlines or anything on your scouts right now. Find another kill for Anakin. It's pretty back and forth in the damage here, I would say. A lot of chaos being wrought for both players. However, big thing here is red is keeping the TC producing vills, whereas blue is stepping up the idle time quite a lot because you don't have the food for it. Don't have any farms right now, just on berries. And these fishing ships are getting less and less efficient. Now these scouts can find some damage. There's a lot of low HP skirms, but there's a lot of skirms. And there's a spear in the mix. So you have to be pretty careful for red. As this skirm mass gets bigger and bigger and you don't kill them off, they're going to become more and more threatening. I also don't have fletching in for red. So our skirms are just going to be out microed a lot. However, if the fires come in, they're going to be able to kill these fishing ships because blue has nothing to contest. The berries are about to run out, so blue will have to turn to farms pretty soon. Farm being dropped here, right in the middle of the battle. You want to try and pick off the spears with the skirms. Kills. This is still pretty bad for red. I mean, you kill the spears, you're able to find some damage on the skirms, and there's a lot of low HP skirms, but the spear is going to keep coming. The barracks is forced, so the spears can reinforce very quickly. But the fishing ships are being denied by red. Tower coming up. Makes a lot of sense. Defend your position here. You need something. This will deal pretty well with these skirms. Second range coming up. Gonna make more skirms. We'll really need fletching, but I don't think there's a blacksmith up right now. I also have no one on wood even. And more scouts getting picked off. Tower is up. That should kick off any aggression, but the skirms can continue to force idle time and, you know, just be annoying around here. I wonder if maybe red should just go and kill more vills. There's no army at home for blue. It's tricky though, because you do need to keep things under control here. But you can see how red was on these farms and was able to keep producing from the TC. So even with all of this damage, only 3 eco kills for both players. Anakin is actually ahead in eco because the TC kept producing. We only have 1 farm for Floripa and no fishing ships anymore. But yeah, farmers are being added in now, so should be less of a deal. These skirms, that's a lot of skirms. It can start to find some more kills at this point. You can fight back with the vills, but I'm not sure how advised that is. More skirms coming out for red. Want to kill off these spears. The spear is dead. You can start getting damage on the skirms, but that is a lot of skirms. They're going to find some more scout kills. We don't have any upgrades on our scouts, so they are not that tanky right now. We can produce them faster as the Huns, but maybe that just means they go faster to their death. That being said, red is still ahead in eco. And even has these fishing ships, which are getting less efficient as time goes on. But they at least are there. Loading some wood now. It's kind of awkward to add more farms though for red because, you know, where else do you add them that's safe? You could add a little bit here under the tower. This wood line is, you know, going to be constantly harassed without a tower to defend. And red is spending all of their res trying to make something happen here. Keep themselves safe. Blue is floating quite a bit of gold. Could add a market pretty soon. If these turn into elite skirms, especially with Bodkin, you know, your feudal army is not going to do much against those Dravidian skirms. Up to 7 minutes of idle time for Floripa, which is very unfortunate for them. It means all of this aggression is not doing as much damage as you would want it to. The scouts are in, and this time they are backed by skirm support. So the skirms will get some hits in while these scouts go in. I think that's enough scouts. There's no spears right now. Spear's going to come out, but unfortunately it just goes into the massive skirms for red. Ooh, blue did add this sneaky little dock. You could also fish out of that, which is nice, and you can kill the enemy fish, which is a nice addition for blue. But the skirms are going to be cleaned up. And we're going to be on gold now for red, and this tower is defending everything quite nicely. And the dock's going to go down for blue. Things are looking more and more dire for Floripa. with all of that aggression, you would have liked to find more damage. I think the main thing was just we didn't have enough food eco to keep producing out of the TC, so we didn't get as much of an advantage as we might have expected to. These fishing ships are going to be chased into a corner and executed by the fire, but we have a nice farming eco now for the Hun player. And now we're going to go forward, it looks like. Let's be careful with that, but, you know, Dravidian player doesn't have anything at home to defend. So these skirmishers can tickle these villagers to death. And with some scout support, 2 full HP scouts. Tower comes up, but it's a little late. I think these vills are going to be picked off before they're able to build it. That being said, the scouts take a lot of damage. The skirms come in. The scouts might even die. We don't have this is sort of the detriment of not having a you know, production building at home. They're all forward, so we can't produce anything to defend. But the skirms are in, again, harassing this wood line. They don't take that much TC fire. Building a defensive tower here, which will be up in time this point, but they will still force quite a bit of inefficiency from the villagers. And red can produce military from home, kind of the benefit for them. So this is not as bad as this is for blue, because all they have is towers to defend. They do have a stable, so they can make scouts, but this single scout is not going to do it. Fishing ships are dead for red, but they are about to click up. Blue is floating a lot of gold. If they could find the wood to build a market, they could also click up. But this army is going to find more and more damage for red. They at least have a kind of similar situation to red here, where they have this nicely placed tower. Ooh, some nice damage here on the back line of the wood. But this tower doesn't actually defend any gold or stone, unfortunately, like it does for Anakin. Okay, the market does come up. Big ball of skirms here. And the second stable comes up now for red. Just thinking about going into presumably knights, which is a good option if your opponent is on full skirms. But Floripa doesn't really have much of a military at this point. Just these 4 skirms. She's done a good job of being active with them, but don't really have anything to answer these skirmishers here. Your opponent's going to be up to Castle Age with Bloodline Knights very soon, and the Dravidians don't have much of an answer to that. Skirmishers are not going to cut it. It is a great farming eco for red. Skirmishers continue to be annoying, can dive under the TC fire, or sorry, tower fire. Scout does get pelted as well. Up to Castle Age for Floripa. We're about 9 vills behind. We'll see what they're able to do when we get up to Castle. Up to 3 stables now for red. And we're up to Castle Age, and the knights do come out. And blue's under a lot of pressure. Doesn't really have much of a res to produce anything. And the GG is called there. Congratulations to Anakin. Going to go into the semifinals for the hybrid division. So, congratulations to Anakin. And yeah, it's an interesting game to watch. I quite liked Blue's play, actually. I gotta say, taking a look at the map, maybe taking a look at how forward this gold was, just producing a lot of military and getting a lot of it didn't kill that many vills, I would say. Well, it got a few, you know, vill picks early, but really it was just sort of forcing a lot of inefficiency, a lot of idle time. I mean, the Huns player had no military to speak of at the beginning. I think the big thing that killed Floripa was not having the food to produce from the TC. So, you know, you didn't find as much of an advantage as you would have liked to from all of the aggression that you had, because ultimately you were behind in vills just because your TC was not producing. 9 minutes of idle time. But yeah, I mean, very nice defense from red, but very nice, nicely played from blue. I liked, very interesting, just sort of a, you know, full trash aggression. Very quick to reinforce everything, but yeah, I think once there was a big skirm mass from red to pick off the spears, things got very awkward because he didn't have a good answer to the scouts. But yeah, GG to both players, and congrats to Anakin getting into the semifinals, and that is all for me, folks.